What's going on, everybody? Hope you're all having a fantastic day today. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I just got done making a whole video because I was prepping, because I was going to, go ahead and every single month on the 30th, I was going to make a video reminding everybody that, Activision went ahead and put out a skill-based matchmaking discussion saying that in the upcoming weeks, they will go ahead and touch upon this. So once a month, every month, I was going to go ahead and put out a video as a reminder. And of course, literally on the 29th, well, that's today. Yeah, I'm making an emergency video here to upload later in the day. They went ahead and put together a whole blog post discussing the skill-based matchmaking in Call of Duty. So, ladies and gentlemen, today we are going to be going ahead and diving deep into every last detail they have given to us about skill-based matchmaking in Modern Warfare 3. And I'm very curious. Of course, go down in the comments section, leave your opinions if you think this is legit, if you think they're full of it, so on and so forth. Subscribe, guys. Don't forget, hit that bell as well so you can stay notified on all content just like this. And if anything else important comes out, you best believe I'm going to post it as soon as possible. And if you guys do want to go ahead and check out any of my streams, I stream every day besides Sundays over on Kick. You guys can find a link to that down in the description of this video. But with all that said, let's get right into it. All right, so to go ahead and begin, they showcased an image here, basically showing, all the features that are going into the matchmaking system. The connection, time to match, skill performance, platform, voice chat, input device, recent maps/modes, and playlist diversity. And of course, they didn't just showcase this. They went into a little bit of deeper detail, as you can see right here. Connection, as the community will attest, ping is king. Connection is the most critical and heavily weighted factor in the matchmaking process. Number 2, time to match. This factor is the second most critical to the matchmaking process. We all want to spend time playing the game rather than waiting for matches to start. Number 3, the following factors are also critical to the matchmaking process. Playlist diversity, the number of playlists available for players to choose from. Recent maps/modes, considering maps you have recently played on as well as your mode preferences. Editable and quick play settings. Skill performance, this is used to give our players, a global community with a wide skill range, the opportunity to have an impact in every match. Input device, sorry, I chuckled at that. Like I said, we'll talk about all this stuff later. Input device, controller or mouse and keyboard. Platform, the device, PC, console that you are playing on. And then voice chat, enabled or disabled. But ladies and gentlemen, that's not it. They actually go into some more detail. Like I said, this is going to be a decent sized video. I'm going to try to make it as short as possible and to the point, but there's a lot of stuff to go ahead and discuss here. But it says measuring connection for matchmaking. Whether you are playing for fun with friends or looking to climb the leaderboards, connection is the most important part of the online Call of Duty experience. Connection dictates the speed at which the game can transfer information from every player to and from our servers. Call of Duty's matchmaking process evaluates a metric we call delta ping, which is the difference in a round trip time of the data between your best data center, almost always the one closest to you, and the data center onto which your lobby has been placed, based on all players in the lobby. To reiterate, we always try to maximize the times we place players in data centers that are closest to them. Call of Duty uses a client-server model to host matches where the time it takes to share information between the player, client, and the data center, dedicated server, has an impact on the overall feel of a match. The Call of Duty netcode, which we've discussed in the past, works to reduce the effect of latency, but cannot completely eliminate it. The matchmaking process seeks to reduce the overall amount of latency by prioritizing stable connections or low ping with a shortened wait time in mind. Moving on to the next, measuring time to match for matchmaking. Any form of matchmaking takes time. If the wait time in a lobby is excessively long, players typically recycle the process by canceling out of matchmaking search and restarting it, or even quitting. This does not quicken the matchmaking process and in fact can even be detrimental. So basically what they're saying here is that if you're leaving because it's not putting you in the game, it's going to make it worse for you to get into a lobby. For example, in the popular Modern Warfare 3 Rust Mint playlist, consisting of Rust and Shipment in rotation, players often leave lobbies and or matches early on, hoping to re-queue into Shipment instead. This creates a vacant spot on a team during an early stage of the match. As the matchmaking process may prioritize backfilling that spot, this could result in players perceiving that Rust is disproportionately selected over Shipment. Trying to cherry-pick maps may have an unexpected result. Our goal is to ensure that players spend more time playing matches rather than waiting for them. So yeah, at the end of the day, basically saying if you're leaving matches 24/7, you're just making it impossible for these maps to even be played in the rotation. And then moving on to the next one. This is a really beefy one. This might take me a little bit of time to go ahead and, run through here. Measuring skill for matchmaking. While skill is one of several factors in Call of Duty multiplayer matchmaking, we know the community wants more information about how it fits into the process. Skill is determined based on a player's overall performance, kills, deaths, wins, losses, and more, including mode selection and recent matches as an overall metric across all multiplayer experiences. This is a fluid measurement that's consistently updating and reacting to your gameplay. Skill is not only a factor in matchmaking players against appropriate enemies, but also when finding teammates. Oh yeah, let me tell. Again, we have a lot of stuff to discuss after we finish all of this, but again, I want to make sure I read it all to you guys so you know what we're talking about here. Call of Duty has historically considered player performance among other factors as part of our matchmaking process. Our work in this area dates back as early as Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare 2007. Skill is implemented across the video game industry, and we recognize that continuous refinements is required to deliver the best possible experience for our players. We use player performance to ensure that the disparity between the most skilled player in the lobby and the least skilled player in the lobby isn't so vast that players feel their match is a waste of time. Our data on player outcomes clearly indicates that the inclusion of skill in Call of Duty's multiplayer matchmaking process, as it currently stands, increases the variety of outcomes experienced by players of all skill levels. Oh man, I just want to talk about it now, but I can't. I have to hold myself back. In other words, all players, regardless of skill level, are more likely to experience wins and losses more proportionately. Our data shows that when lower skilled players are consistently on the losing end, they are likely to quit matches in progress or stop playing altogether. This has an effect on the player pool. A smaller player pool means wait times for matches increase, and connections may not be as strong as they should be. This can compound over time to create a spiral effect. Eventually, when only high-skilled players remain because lower-skilled players have quit out of frustration, the result is an ecosystem that is worse overall for everyone. Game data indicates that having some limitations on the disparity of skill across the players in a match makes for a healthier ecosystem. We also understand that many high-skill players want more variety of experience, but often feel like they only get the sweatiest of lobbies. We have heard this feedback clearly and will continue to test and actively explore ways to mitigate this concern. I mean, at least that's good news, right? The last part's good, but again, we still have a lot of stuff to go ahead and discuss here. Honestly, let's go ahead and talk about this before we go into the community questions, because they did have a lot of good community questions that I have to talk about. Things like bots in the game, skill-based, hit detection and all that stuff, like, your bullets being drifted away from targets. There's a lot of other things to go ahead and discuss that I will talk about a little bit later, but I do have to go ahead and discuss, the main features of what this skill-based matchmaking works around. Honestly, it just seems too in-depth, does it not? And I feel that that's why me personally, and a lot of you guys as well, feel like the matches just aren't consistent in any way, shape, or form, and also feel extremely unfair. They claim that the matchmaking is prioritizing ping, it's prioritizing your connection, and it's trying to prioritize making sure everybody is on an equal playing ground, making sure everybody can fit into the lobby, when that's the complete opposite of what I run into. If I play solo, it's carry central. I'm always carrying. How is that fair? How does that make any sense? They're trying to say that they want the worst players to have a better experience, but I guess me dropping streaks is making them feel like they're putting it in work, right? It's like, in a match of TDM that might, go to, let's say, 100 score. If I'm dropping 50 bodies or 60 bodies and I'm getting an insane amount of streaks and we still lost the game, they'll still feel like it's a hard fight, even though they barely put in any work whatsoever. They might have gotten like 5, 6, 7 kills each, maybe 10 if it's really, really, really lucky. But at the same time, they're feeling like, this match was good because, we got so many streaks, constant UAVs in the sky, and the score isn't that drastically different. When in reality, it was a straight carry session. It was a nightmare. For me, for personally me, it was a nightmare. It's one of the main reasons why I'm forced to play with a full squad of players at all times, no matter what. I don't play solo anymore. It's sad because I grew up a solo Call of Duty player, even though I loved playing Search and Destroy back in the day with the boys. But let's be honest here, COD used to be a blast playing solo. The amount of variety in gameplay that you would see, which is what they're bragging about in here, trying to claim that the matchmaking is supposed to produce variety, but that's the last thing that I witness. I'll be honest, it's either I'm completely sweating out against, top tier opponents while carrying a bunch of people who shouldn't be in my bracket on my team, or I'm playing with people who should be in my bracket on my team, and we're still sweating completely out. And I will admit, they claimed that they're trying to make this better for, I guess the more experienced players, because they did claim at the last section there that they hear that the matches are too, quote unquote, sweaty, and they're trying to make a workaround for that to make it better for us. I will admit I have noticed that on the occasion I will get my noob gameplays. You see it all the time on this channel. I always get accused of reverse boosting. I don't know why, when I literally say go to my stream every day and you can literally see the exact footage that you guys are watching in the videos and you can see that I don't reverse boost. I literally just hit quick play and we go into whatever game we get. I never back out. Even when we're getting whooped, I don't back out. I just play the game. And yes, even though there are not a lot of them, I will get a select handful of some very casual noob-like matches. You know what I'm saying? But it's way too far in between, especially for someone who might not be at my skill level, someone who's, a little bit more laid back and casual, which is, what it's all about, the casual player. It's a nightmare for them. For me personally, I don't mind sweating it out. I'll get my streaks if I need to get my streaks. And again, I'm always playing with a lot of, really skilled players as well who are also getting their streaks. Advances are up all the time, EMPs are always being popped, so on and so forth. But for someone who's playing solo, a casual dude, hopping off after work or after class who just wants to hop on for a few matches, do you think that... No, they're not in that mindset. They're not in that headspace. They're trying to kick back and relax. They have too many things in here. Like, I'm going to flash up the image one more time for you guys. Why do we have voice chat incorporated into the skill-based matchmaking? The skill-based matchmaking is dictating your voice chat. If you have voice chat on or off, the skill-based matchmaking is dictating the maps that you're playing on and the modes that you're playing on and the playlist diverse. What is this? It should be connection and platform and input device. Those should be the three on this list. Everything else is irrelevant. Yeah, time to match is a good one, but everything else should be irrelevant. They make no sense to me. It's too in-depth, and because there's so many components, it just, in my opinion, it doesn't work properly. Can it be refined to something that's better? Yeah, it could be refined, but wouldn't it just be simpler to just remove it all together and just let everybody have an organic experience? XDefiant did that, and yeah, XDefiant had plenty of sweaty matches, but at the end of the day, you knew that nothing was behind the curtains trying to manipulate the match that you were in. Everything just happened. Whoever you squatted up with is whoever you squatted up with. Whoever you partied against is whoever you partied against. Whoever was on your team was whoever was on your team. Doesn't matter. Nothing is behind the curtains, playing the matchmaker, trying to figure out what's the best optimal thing for you. I don't know why we're trusting AI for all of this stuff. We trust AI for way too much in life right now, and we're trusting AI to give us the most optimal matches. They can't even dictate what people say in-game. You know how many people get voice bans falsely for saying stuff that aren't even close to being a curse word or anything mean or bad, and they get voice... And you're telling me you want them to dictate my matches too? Again, I personally believe it's just way too much going on. And again, on the final post I read, it's also just really disgusting to me that they really prioritize your gameplay style. And they claim they've been doing this since Call of Duty 4 2007, but personally, I don't believe it was that in depth. They might have had, well, no, it's not that they might have. They did have skill-based matchmaking, but it's nowhere close to being as just insanely down to the point as it is today. The fact that it tracks every last bit of your movement down to gunplay, accuracy, all of this stuff, it takes into account on, what matches you should be in, and it tracks 24/7. It's just weird. And again, something like that is what makes it hard for a casual player to hop on and play casually, because yeah, they might have that one day, like their day off, where they don't have to go to work, right? And they get a kickback, and maybe they are a little bit more alert that day, maybe they can kick some more butt, they're more in the mood to play COD. That one session can completely dictate what their next match is going to be when, they have to go back to work and then they're exhausted the next time they hop on COD. It's still going to be thinking that they're not in that. You see, do you get what I'm saying here? I don't want to be constantly tracked like this. I don't know. I want to know what you guys think down in the comment section. If you think that this is way too much or if this is just about right. But again, we tried no skill-based matchmaking with XDefiant and it felt just fine to me. I don't see a need to have this many things going on. The fact that we could have this big of a blog post about skill-based matchmaking is wild to me. I appreciate it because, they actually gave us details, something that we've been asking for a long time, but it's still wild that we're able to get this much out of, a matchmaking talk. You know what I'm saying? But guys, let's move on to the actual community questions because I think this is going to be kind of a fun one right here. Let's see here. The first one that I have is, does Call of Duty consider player engagement time played as a factor in matchmaking? We do not consider how often or how much you play when determining matchmaking. Do you guys believe this one? I don't know if I believe this, man. I don't know if I believe this. I truly think that, if a player plays for a long amount of time, they are definitely going to be put in thicker matches. I've gone points where I haven't played COD for months on top of months on top of months, maybe even a year for certain games. And you hop back into the experience and it's absurdly casual. You get the most basic matches. But then once you start getting into the groove and you start kicking back into action, the matches progressively get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. I don't know, but I mean, they're claiming that they don't take time into consideration. So maybe it's just something all in the head. Maybe it's just, sometimes I hop on and I'm playing worse and then I'm slowly getting into my groove and that's when it starts kicking in. Who knows? But I want to know what you guys think down in the comments. The next question is, does the Call of Duty matchmaking process impact any in-game elements such as hit registration, player visibility, aim assist, damage, etc.? No, our matchmaking process does not impact gameplay elements. This one I personally believe. I've been saying it for a long time now. I think it's just, I don't know. I've never, ever experienced, really bad things that everybody's claiming when it comes to the skill-based matchmaking hit detection in this game. I played on both controller and mouse and keyboard. Yeah, the worst thing that would ever happen to me on controller is when multiple people are in front of me and my aim assist doesn't know who to stick on. So it completely screws me overall and I die. Or, maybe an enemy's behind a surface and another enemy's in front of that surface. I see the one in front, I try to aim at them, but for some reason the aim assist tracks someone that's behind the surface, completely ruining the gunfight and getting me killed. Things like that. That's what I will get on a controller. But everything else that people are claiming, I think is a little out there. And this one, I personally do believe that it's nothing too crazy going on with the skill-based matchmaking, ruining your gameplay. I play consistently on mouse and keyboard all the time. My biggest concern is that solo play absolutely sucks. It puts me with teammates who can't compete with me. And, I have to sit there and sweat against equal opponents, and I don't, I'll do it. I'll still play consistently, I'll still drop my streaks, but it's a pain in the butt having to carry 5 others when they're constantly feeding the enemies and giving them non-stop streaks. And the same thing, just with sweatiness in general. Even when I play with a full stack, I just never get a kickback on COD. There's no kickback time. It's sweat, 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 sweat. But never has the game, ruined my gameplay personally. If I'm playing bad, it's usually because I'm either not in the mood to play COD, maybe I'm tired, my reaction time isn't there, but I've never had anything curve me. So I don't know. I kind of believe that one. Next one, does spending money on Call of Duty content such as bundles, Battle Pass, or Black Cell change how players are matched? Money spent does not in any way, shape, or form factor into matchmaking. This one is an interesting one because I have seen time and time again people say that when they, get bundles, it gives them more casual lobbies. Personally, I haven't run into this. I've gotten a couple of bundles back in Modern Warfare 2019, I believe, Black Ops Cold War. And honestly, the sweat was still there, man. I still had to sweat it out. I was just able to sweat it out with the skin. So I don't know, but this one, I still would believe. I wouldn't push it past Activision to, give the benefit of the doubt to the player, who purchased the skin to go pub stomp it out and make it look like that skin is going to make them insane at the game. I wouldn't push it past them, but again, go ahead and leave your comments down below. The next question, does Call of Duty use bots in multiplayer matchmaking? Call of Duty multiplayer does not use bots as part of the general matchmaking process. If this changes in the future, we will inform the community. Again, another one that I just don't personally believe in. You can call me crazy. I know people will still call me crazy for this one. But again, leave your opinions if you think there's bots in Call of Duty or not. There's definitely people out there who are, selling bot lobbies that have scripts and stuff like that incorporated into the game to put bots in the match so you can grind and stuff of that sorts. But I never actually witnessed like real bots, AI bots. But of course, you never know. You never know. Maybe they are and maybe they're hiding it, but I want to know what you guys think about this question right here. And the next one, do partners or content creators get special consideration in general matchmaking? No, we do not change the matchmaking process based on who owns the account. In specific cases, such as for events like Call of Duty Next, we may be required to customize how lobbies are formed. However, these events usually take place in private matches and do not impact general matchmaking. This one, again, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this. They said it, so I guess I have to believe, even though I don't want to believe that this is the case, but there's still a part of me deep down that believes that, Activision wants to give these, massive content creators the benefit of the doubt to make the game look better. What better way to make people want to buy your game than to have the top streamers, people are pulling in hundreds of thousands, even millions of people watching their stuff, go ahead and absolutely stomp out every game that they possibly get into. What's a better way of selling that game? I don't know, but they claim it's not. But of course, Once again, go down in the comments section and let me know what you guys think. Next question, have you ever considered an opt-in, opt-out system for the matchmaking algorithm? Our data suggests that splitting the player base with an opt-in, opt-out matchmaking system will have negative consequences on the overall player pool. That means potentially longer wait times based on the type of matchmaking selected, plus add into that playlist map and mode history, platform, and more, and matches with poor connections. Honestly, I don't know. I feel like it will be better to have the opt-in, opt-out system for matchmaking, but I do get what they're saying here. That really would gunk up the whole system. I think there's only one way of doing it. It's either you have no matchmaking or you do have matchmaking. I don't think that having an opt-in, opt-out system will be a smooth transition for anybody. Next question, have you ever tested removing skill as a consideration from matchmaking? We have run tests over the years to determine if removing skill as a consideration from matchmaking makes sense. We'll continue to launch these tests periodically. To date, the data remains consistent with what we detailed above. Players tend to quit matches or stop playing if they're getting blown out, resulting in a negative overall experience for all players in the lobby and the general player population. We purposely do not disclose when these tests occur because it may impact feedback or the data we see during these tests. Now, this is interesting because I've noticed this. You remember that video I made back during the Christmas time when I said skill-based matchmaking seems to be drastically different? You know, I was dropping nukes constantly. I was getting crazy streaks. This makes sense. They are indeed doing tests in our public matches without us knowing to get data behind the scenes to see how people play in the matches. No crap people are, going to back out if they get dunked on. But it just is what it is. That's how you have variety in gameplay. They're just trying to dictate your matches and make everything as equal as possible. And, make sure everybody gets the same exact streaks, the same exact kills, the same exact deaths. And of course, obviously, if you really want to grind and you really want to, try to improve, you can. But they're going to make you work for that. They're going to make you work for that. But honestly, it was such a more relaxing game during that time period. Yeah, I had tons of people back out of my matches, but it was just so much more relaxing. But I guess they have proof behind the scenes claiming that people are just stop playing the game. They just don't want to play it anymore. I don't know. Personally, I want to see these numbers. I would love to see these numbers with my own eyes so I can know for a fact that they're telling the truth here, because I just find it odd because during both those time periods, I saw so many different YouTubers coming out saying that the matchmaking feels tremendously different and, way better. And then out of nowhere, everybody's saying it's horrible again. This is exactly why. So I really want to know if the player count dropped when they did those tests or if it stayed the same. And then for the final question, have you considered removing skill from matchmaking in specific general multiplayer game modes? We have considered this in the past and will continue to examine if this idea makes sense as part of our experimental playlist or in specific modes. We have nothing to announce on that front today. I mean, honestly, yeah, this would be great. Why not take advantage of this in the experimental playlist? And where is the experimental playlist? Bring it back! They had one test. They tested out the red outlines on enemies. And I also believe there was blue outlines on teammates. And that was it. It just vanished. Bring it back and start testing this stuff out. Why are we waiting so long for this, man? All of this stuff could have been tested in public environments, and we could give real feedback. Yet nothing's happening. They're going off of their numbers, their data behind the scenes. How do we know that their data behind the scenes just isn't showcasing that people just stopped wanting to play the game, that they just don't care about it anymore? How can we prove that the reason that the players are dropping is because they removed the skill factor from the matchmaking, so it didn't dictate player skill when it put us into lobbies and it just did connection? How can we prove that those numbers are for that and not because people just don't care for the game? You know what I'm saying here? We would officially know if they put it in the experimental playlist. And honestly, I don't think they will. They say they might, but I don't think they will, because if they do, and they do get that feedback, then, then we'll have a real live feedback that we can all see. And then we can all say, well, look, mass majority of people say this. It doesn't make any sense to revert now. And then they're kind of stuck. They can't just say things and then, hope that we all believe it. Overall, guys, I don't know what to say. It's good. I'm glad they talked about it, but I got to be honest, I am partially disappointed. I'm happy that they did touch upon the fact that they're going to keep improving on the, because they did say in that one statement that players are saying it's way too sweaty. So I'm glad they acknowledged that, and I'm glad that they said they're going to try to improve upon that. But overall, the matchmaking is just a really rough idea. I still think removing it would be the best bet. And again, trying it in an experimental playlist would probably really help for the future of this franchise and really help to determine if it's good or bad. But Ladies and gentlemen, as always, go down in the comment section. Let me know what you guys think. Sorry that this was a bit of a long one here. It's a lot of stuff to go ahead and discuss, but it's a big day. We finally got them to address skill-based matchmaking in some way, shape, or form. Even though it's not the most, I guess, detailed thing that we wanted to see, they did touch upon a lot of good things, like bots, manipulative, aiming and stuff like that when it comes to matchmaking. And also, things about the sweatiness, the factors that, take into place when they actually put you into matchmaking. I was shocked to see that they have voice chat, whether you have voice chat enabled or disabled. I really wonder if that's why I do get a little bit more casual experiences compared to the rest, because I always say I do get a casual vibe, and other people say they don't. I feel like a lot of people who don't sweat turn their voice chat off so they don't have to hear people bitch at them or complain at them or call them out or saying that they're bad or anything. I wonder if that's why on the occasion I do get more casual games, because I always have my voice chat disabled, mostly because I'm streaming and I don't want anybody to sling those words across, and get me banned. I wonder if that's the case, but again, it's too many factors. It's just too much for me to handle. But ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed today's video, leave a like. If you hated it, leave a dislike. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell. We post daily here, every single day at 8 in the morning Eastern time, and just like this video, a little bit later in the afternoon. Sometimes we do a double upload. And last but not least, if you guys are interested in any streams, I stream over on Kick. By all means, you can find a link to that channel down in the description of this video. But as always, thank you for tuning in. I'll see you on the next one. Peace out.